Welcome to the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and today we are doing a review of the Operation Unthinkable two-player starter set with German and British forces for the Clash of Steel wargame from Gale Force 9. First of all, thanks to Gale Force 9 for sending us through a copy of the game. That was incredibly kind and generous, and we really appreciate the support. However, viewers, rest assured this is our honest opinion, much as there is the temptation to put a little bit of spin or bias when somebody's nice enough to give you free stuff. That's not what we do here. If we're going to be recommending something, it's because we'd spend our hard-earned cash on it, we'd spend our time with it. So rest assured, much as they were kind, we won't necessarily be. So, if you've not heard of Clash of Steel, it is a 50mm alternative history war game from Gale Force 9 with an awful lot of Flames of War in it. It was one of the main reasons, or one of the many reasons, that I was interested in the system in the first place, because as a Flames of War player, I've got my mini tanks all over the place. Having a new way, an interesting way to play it, always great, always useful. The main difference between this and Flames of War, or the first apparent difference, is that Clash of Steel is mashing tanks together. There's no infantry, there are no armoured personnel carriers, there's no aircraft, there is no artillery. It is purely smush of the tanks face to face. That's it. All day, every day. Can't underscore that enough. If you're here for the infantry tactics, you're in the wrong video. What can I say? So, when is this set? What world does this take place in? Glad you asked, because Clash of Steel is an alternative history game. Let's have a quick dive into it. Operation Unthinkable is set in a world where World War II didn't end with Germany being crushed completely. Instead, they surrendered. What brought this about? The attempted, in our timeline, July 1944 assassination of Hitler. In the Clash of Steel timeline, that was successful. If you're not sure what I'm talking about with that, there was an attempt to blow him up, essentially. Unfortunately unsuccessful, but in this world it was successful. If you want to see more of that, check out Tom Cruise's movie Valkyrie. That sort of sensationalist Hollywood spin on what happened. But anyway, that's the world we're living in. Tom Cruise did the job, of course, and now we're in alternative history where, as I say, Germany surrendered, so it changed the world somewhat. The combat in this universe centers around in this box set, centers around the Allies trying to retake Poland from Soviet hands, where it had been left after the mess of World War II. This series of games, so this is the first set, the first era of Clash of Steel, covering that 1940s period. The next one, as I understand it, which comes out very soon, it's going to be 1950s, then we're going to do 1960s and 1970s. So this timeline, this story is going to progress up through Cold War era, Cold War vehicles and all the rest of it. How far it will go, who knows? Maybe it'll connect us to Team Yankee. The options are endless, but we shall see. So that is the setting. That is where we are and what's happening. But what's in the box? Okay, as I say, this box here is British versus German, and it features 17 miniatures, quick start guide, quick reference sheets, guide to the forces, a 51-page rulebook, which I've got set here. That's the full rulebook. That is all of it. That is the lot. That's everything you need to play this game. Then you have dice decals and lots and lots and lots of cards. The cards include mission rules, tactics cards, mission setup, unit cards for both Germany and Britain, and objective decks. But more on that in a minute. There are also loads of tokens, markers, and bits and bobs and stuff and things and all that kind of thing. It is almost a complete game in one box. Awesome. The miniatures, because that's the cool stuff, let's be honest. We've got 8 Germans and 9 Brits. The Germans are getting the super heavy mouse, because you've got to show miniatures. So if you've played Flames of War, you'll know that this is a very chunky boy. It's a very chunky boy indeed. So you have one mouse, 2 Tiger 2s. Seen those before? Actually, it's always worth doing a cross comparison for the ones who do play Flames of War. Well, there we go. Mouse is honking. He is a beast. He is massive. So yeah, one mouse, two Tiger 2s, two ordinary tigers, Tiger 1s, little baby ones. And then we have three Panzer 470s, which, being the genius that I am, I haven't built any of those yet, so I already had plenty. Don't worry, we had plenty of those, so I haven't built those ones yet, but they're in there too. For the Brits, we had two tortoises, another honking great super heavy. I mean, you can see by comparison to the mouse, it's a big boy. He's a big boy. We've got two of these. Then we have some 4 Centurion 1s and 3 Comets, which if you play Flames of War will be familiar already. So these are all in the box. They are on sprue, they need building. They are from Battlefront miniatures, so if you play Flames of War, pretty much the same miniatures. They're gorgeously detailed, they go together well, like all Battlefront stuff does, in my opinion. I've never had really any major issues with them. So yeah, they have a great guide in the box of how they go together and which bits you need, because the sprues, obviously, as with all Battlefront things, you have different types of tank on there that you can build. In fact, so these are the Panzer 470s, and as you can see, we have different sizes of gun. You get to choose which one. The instructions in the box tell you which one, so you don't make a mistake. But they're lovely kits, they're lovely detailed, great stuff. All you need is some decent glue, knife, clippers, files, you'll be fine. These miniatures as well, being Battlefront ones, they can be used with the Late War Leviathans book. So there's the PDF at the moment. We have the full book coming out, I think, in September. And I've been told by Battlefront that for you Flames of War players out there, the release of the book will actually include more formations than we got in the PDF. So there's even more reason to pick that up. It's going to be a good thing. Very exciting. So yeah, you can use these in Flames of War games as well. It's not just in here. This box is packed with stuff, as I've just shown. There's so much stuff in this box, and it's around the €60 mark. So that is an incredibly large amount of boom for your buck. There is a lot of stuff in here for such a small amount of cash. One key thing that you really need to know is that whilst there are expansion boxes for Clash of Steel, so you can buy yourself some more Centurions if you want, anything like that, these boxes are the only places to get the rules, the decks of cards, and the tokens, and they are all important things. So you will need, if you plan to play this game, to pick up one of these boxes. Whether you need the tanks or not, you're going to need this box. There's too much stuff in here that you can't get anywhere else at the moment. I don't think there's plans to release it anywhere else, so you're going to be needing this one. It's especially important as well. Actually, I want to kind of underscore that. There are in here, yeah, we're organised today. There are in here the stat cards for both forces. So we have the Germans and we have the British. But what you'll see is, if I just get out the British ones, see if we can make this work on camera. This is totally unplanned. I don't know if you can tell. But Archer, Cromwell, Challenger, Centurion 3, Centurion 1, Tortoise, and Churchill 7. These are all of the tanks that are available in the first wave of Clash of Steel. And this is the only way to get these cards. This is the only place you can get them. When you buy a box of Tortoises, you will not get this card. It's here, it's nowhere else. And these are really useful to play. So these boxes are crucial, and it's just to be clear, it's the same for the Germans as well. You know, with all the things that I was just talking about that are in here, most of those are not. But this is the only place to get these cards. So if you plan to play, you will need this box. Definitely. The other thing that you'll need is a 6-foot by 4-foot table with terrain, which is not included in the box, obviously, because that's a lot of stuff. We'll cover the size of the forces in the box in a minute, but you can probably actually get away with playing the box armies on a 4x4. I don't think you need a full 6x4, but the full game at full points is a 6x4, so just bear that one in mind. Let's talk about rules. The core of the system is Flames of War. It's the current edition of Flames of War. We have a starting step, we have a movement step, a shooting, and an ending step. So if you have played Flames of War, those are incredibly familiar. They are stripped back. There are a lot of things that have taken out and rejigged and moved around. I get why. It makes it a lot cleaner, actually, in some ways. But yeah, you have those 4 steps. So each turn you run through those 4 steps, you have your starting bit where you find out if you're getting reinforcements, then you move your tanks, then you shoot your tanks, and then you do a bit of admin, and then you're done and you hand over to your opponent. All the information you need is on the cards for each tank. You can see here, this is everything you need to play a tortoise. There we go, look at that for focus. You will find their movement over different terrain, weapons, armor, and their skills and similar stats, special rules, all that kind of stuff. The great thing is a lot of the special rules as well, they're on the back. So if you actually need to know what's down here, where are we? Protected ammo, it says remount on a 3+, and then you can look on the back and it gives you a little bit more detail and their points, etc. So that's cool. Cards are very useful. It's all here. When you are shooting at someone, you use the to hit value of your target. So your ability to hit someone is based on their skill, not on yours. With more veteran, experienced troops, harder to hit. So there we go. There we go. Tortoise is hit on a 4+. That is then modified by cover and by range and by a couple of other bits and pieces, whether they shot this turn or not. When you land your hits, your opponent then gets to make a save, which is a comparison to the strength of your weapon versus their armor. The dice is rolled. If you're successful, you bounce it. If you're not successful, the shot comes roaring in. And then whoever's doing the shooting makes a firepower check. So we have a firepower check here. 3+. And if they roll that, your tank goes boom. And if they don't roll that, then your crew gets out because it's a bit scary. It's called being bailed out. In the ending step, whoever's turn it wasn't then gets to roll the dice to see if their troops get back in the tanks and stop being bailed out. And then you check whether forces run away, whether the game is completely done because somebody's scarpered or anything like that. Then you figure out victory points. That is the anatomy of a turn. Does anyone else turn up? I move, I shoot, I figure out whether everyone runs away, I figure out victory points. Your turn. That's how it goes. As I say, we lack the artillery and the infantry. A lot of the fiddly and fussy rules from Flames of War are gone because they're just not here. There's no close assault rules. You can bounce your tank off someone else, I guess, but it's not going to do a great deal. There is some depth to Clash of Steel, but it's a lot quicker to learn than its bigger, chunky cousin. And there's a lot less exceptions. 51-page rulebook, everything, but everything is here, including the start of this is actually very much a basics to begin with. Even like this is what a rulebook is. If you've ever seen this is what a battlefield is. If you've ever seen a Flames of War book, then this is all very familiar. This is how this works. This is what this do. So, yeah, the rules are pretty familiar if you know Flames of War. If you're not familiar with Flames of War, then this is Flames of War with the knotty stuff removed. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty clean. That complexity being removed and intricacy being removed is also true of the missions. For Clash of Steel, when you've got your forces sorted, which we'll cover in a minute, you draw a card from 9 cards in the mission setup deck. This gives you your objective layout, where the numbered objectives go, the deployment zones, and where or if there are reserves. You then shuffle and draw a card from the mission rules deck, which again is 9 cards. This lets you know how many rounds the game is, which is normally 6 or 7, and whether you need to... Sorry, this is where you find out whether you need to use reserves. The mission setup card lets you see where they come in, if they do come in, if you are using them. You place the numbered objectives on the board, then shuffle and place one of the 22 objective cards on each objective. Okay. These cards are revealed on the turn of the number of the objective that they're sat on. So the card on objective 1 is revealed at the start of turn 1, etc., etc. These objectives cards can have all kinds of weird and wonderful effects. They can add to the points that you get for holding an objective. They can reduce the points you get for holding objectives. They can create effects around the objective. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful things that they do, and it just adds this random element that suddenly, pop, this objective disappears, or this objective is worth a lot more, or this objective can't be scored until turn 5. All kinds of random stuff. More on that in a sec. Points in your game are done through scoring of these objectives, which there's normally 2 or 3, or there will be 2 or 3. You gain 3 points at the end of your turn if you are within 4 inches of an objective and no one else, your opponent, isn't there too. If you're both within 4 inches of the same objective, then you get 1 point. So 3 if you hold it yourself, and 1 if you share in it. This means that in a game with 3 objectives, you can score 9 points per turn if you hold all 3 with no enemies nearby. Simple as. These points can be buffed or debuffed with those objective cards, depending on how the card gods are feeling. That's not our department. We only do dice. I'm sorry about that. Don't want to hear if it goes wrong. But yeah, in the basics, that's it. 9 points per round for those objectives. That's pretty much what you're going to see. Picking a force is simple enough as well. The game is designed to run from 50 to 150 points. There's a sweet spot around 100 points, it seems, like Flames of War. The forces in the box come in at around 50 points, just to give you an idea. They're a little bit below the 50 points, and then you can augment it up with commander abilities, which you will find in this rulebook. So let me just pop that open. So I've got this whole wall of commander buffs that you can stick on. And you can buy these as you build your force, as you build your force at the start of the game. So these will do things like increase your movement, or give you re-rolls, or increase your speed, which is the same as movement. They're on opposite pages. I'm not very bright. Improve your cross rate, so stats, anti-tank value increase. There's all kinds of stuff that this does. Give you an extra shot. This is nice. 4 points, gain an extra shot. So you can use those as well, which will get you up to the 50 points on your HQ. When you want to build beyond that, you will find inside the box, these 2 books, which are the forces for the 2 armies that are in here. There is another box, which is the same as this, but has Soviet and Americans, and you'll find all that stuff, all their stuff in there. But in here, you'll find a force organization chart. So you have to have 1 HQ, and then 2 to 6 of these, and then 0 to 2 of these, and then that's your force, that's your army. And it's quite cool, you know, you have in here all of the stats and all of the points for all of the armies, sorry, for all of the units that you can have in this version of the game. Same's true with the Brits. Let's just show you that, because being an Englishman I have to show off the Brits as well. It's rude not to. There we go. So there we go. You have to take 1 HQ, and again 2 to 6 of those, and 0 to 2 of these support units, and away you go. So that's how you build your forces. That is so much easier than Flames of War. That is so much lighter than Flames of War. It's just... We'll come back to that in a minute. We'll come back to that lighter and fluffier feel in a minute. In the box there are also tactics cards, which is a bit weird because there's only 1 deck of these tactics cards in the box, but each player gets their own. So I'm not entirely sure how you're supposed to split that out. But you're supposed to end up with a deck each. Each player gets 3 at the start of the game, and then you get an extra 1 at the start of each turn. So yeah, you have 3 that you can send out as you see fit. The tactics cards actually explain what they do themselves. I'm suddenly realising that what I should have done is had all this stuff on the deck with me, and I didn't. So here we go. So these are the tactics cards. They explain what they do. It's on there. When you use it, and what it does. That's it. They do everything from, as you just saw, giving automatic passing morale checks to re-rolling, blowing stuff up in the shooting step. And there we go. Another extra shot. So these are quite useful as well. They're quite pokey. Everybody gets a deck of those. You get 3, then you get 1 extra per turn. Play them as you see fit. So that's all as they allow, as you see fit. So those are quite cool. Based on around 100 points a game, I think this game will last about 2 hours. When you've got a reasonable grip of the rules, which shouldn't take too long. They're not horrific by any stretch of the imagination. There is a quick start guide in here, which actually I have to hand, core rules, and it's not horrific. None of this stuff is horrific. This is quite simple and straightforward, and it's really well presented. This is, if you've ever played a Flames of War, got a Flames of War starter set, this will be familiar. If you haven't, this is a really relatively straightforward way of getting into the game. Within 20 minutes, you'll be chucking tanks at each other quite comfortably, I think. So that's that. Right. That is the what is Clash of Steel. That is the what is. That's the overview. There's more to it than that, but hopefully you can see the broad strokes and the moving parts and how this stuff fits together. Hopefully that's kind of giving you the overview. And you know, the thumbnail was a bit of a giveaway to this one because it's essentially Diet Ahistorical Flames of War. That's what Clash of Steel is. Okay. Ish. And that ish is a big one. It's a really big ish. We have a big ish. Brace yourself for it. Because whilst the mechanics are the same, the game they're used in is not the same as Flames of War. The mission and setup system, the scoring, the way that you put together your lists makes Clash of Steel something else. So Flames of War is often described as the game of the movie of World War II, which I think is fair. Clash of Steel is the board game of the video game of the movie of World War II. Yeah, it's the board game of the video game of the game of World War II. Now, Clash of Steel is a war game. There's no two ways about it. But if you want a deep, complex game, this ain't it. If you want a competitive game, this ain't it. Clash of Steel is one of the best examples of a Friday night beer and pretzels game I've ever seen. Ever. It's fun, random, daft, and is not taking itself seriously. So whatever you do, don't take it seriously either. This is not that game. That's important. What do I mean by that? Well, Clash of Steel can be won pretty reliably by filling your list with cheap, fast-moving tanks. Get on the objectives fast, screen out the enemy, and hold on as long as possible. If you're against slow-moving forces like the Germans, then the game is pretty much done. You hold on to those objectives, maybe send some stuff around the flank to take out their faster-moving stuff by shooting them inside, and you just stop them contesting those objectives for as long as possible, and you're going to start chalking up those 9 points at the end of every turn that you do. And the game's pretty much done. Because if they're trundling up the board, trying to get to you, and they can't even make it within 4 inches of the objective, which is highly possible with some of the units in here, if they want to still shoot, if they don't want to completely expose themselves, then you're going to get to a point where you've accrued so many points with your swarm of stuff that they can't come back from it. Good job. That's it. Game done. Next game. Rinse, repeat. Let's go. Wins every time. Yes, dice will come into it, but as a rule with the scoring, bar some dodgy objective cards, which could happen, you're golden. That's it. You are the king of Clash of Steel. But if you do that, you are fundamentally missing the point of this game. It has zoomed over your head. Clash of Steel doesn't want you to theory craft the best list. It wants you to join in when it says, look, freaking big tanks. Freaking big tanks. They're charging at each other and they're going to go boom. This is boom. That is what Clash of Steel is saying to you. The objectives are there, so there's a reason for the game, and to make sure that you're both going to the same point on the table and not just staying at sniper range and doing all that kind of stuff. Clash of Steel is a fun fantasy game. Write your list with the rule of cool, then let your inner child out, let them smash tanks together with your friends, relax, enjoy, and laugh at the dice as they love or hate you. In a wargaming world of deep, crunchy game systems, Clash of Steel is a divine little palate cleanser for the veteran wargamer. And for the nervous newbie, it's a great way to stick your toe in the wargaming world with lovely minis without it being too scary. But that doesn't mean that it isn't done well. It is. With the maturity of the Flames of War engine behind it, there is a smooth purr to this game. The rules fit together nicely, and it works well. Playing Clash of Steel is fun, which seems to be the innovation and the revelation of 2024. We're in a hobby and we're meant to be enjoying it, not being punished by heavy books round with a rat's nest of cross-dependent rules. There is a 51-page rulebook that will teach you everything you need to know, cards that will tell you everything else you need to know when you're rolling dice, and then you're supposed to have fun. That is it. That is Clash of Steel. In a world of codex creep, FAQs and erratas, Clash of Steel is waiting for you to come and have a chilled evening of rolling dice with your mates. Bring some snacks, leave your week at the door, and just remember, as I say, don't take this game too seriously because you can be damn sure Clash of Steel isn't. And that feels like something that a lot of us could do with right now. It feels like a real sweet spot of where we have these lighter systems in the world. They still have that degree of intensity. Clash of Steel doesn't. And it's still great. And it's still fun. And it's still tanks. The first wave, this guy and its partner, and the other tanks that you can get to expand it is out now. We have the second one dropping next month after. And if you like tiny tanks and fun, go check this out. At €60, it's worth a shot. Just remember, if you have Flames of War, you will need this box before you can play it, so this does have to come. You can't just pick up and go. But yeah, I definitely recommend it, especially if you are playing Flames of War, if you have got some tanks already. Buying this box gives you can build all the lists. And unlike with Flames of War, where you need to consider, whether I have infantry to hold an objective, do I have the artillery support? No, we get tanks, we go boom. It's what I did as a kid. It's part of the motivation for me of getting into Flames of War. If you're here for historical good times, this ain't it. If you're here for competitive, this isn't it. But if you want fun and you want something light, hell yes. All day long, this game is that. If you like what you're seeing here with Clash of Steel, in fact, even if you don't, we are going to put up some battle reports and some games so you can actually see it in action in the coming weeks, coming months. So look out for those. They're coming. They're on the way. Thanks again to Gale Force 9 for the review copy of the game. It was hugely appreciated. We've had fun with it. We will continue to do so. Thanks also to the Patreons and the channel members. You guys are phenomenal. Your support and enthusiasm and feedback is greatly appreciated. It is the members and the Patrons that are very much helping this channel grow and expand and letting us do more and more random and weird and wonderful stuff. So thank you guys. But if you can't, if you want to subscribe, if you want to become a member, please do. If you can't do that, then please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. It validates me as a human being and it lets the algorithm know that they should show our stuff to more people and we're good YouTubers. But yeah, aside from that, thanks for watching and we will see you again soon.